My name's Luke Ryan. I am the Black Rifle Coffee social media manager. I am a former Army Ranger, and I love to write. I love poetry and novels, fiction. And this is 11 questions and a cup of coffee. I make my coffee typically with pour over. I have a Chemex that I use, but working at a coffee company, it definitely gets you in the mindset where you want to try to make coffee in new ways. So I've been experimenting with a few different ways. And the next one on my list is to try to master the French press. So I'm very interested in trying that out a little bit more. I've also been getting into our cold brew pouches a little bit. I take my coffee black. I used to have cream in it, but I've been trying to, in my endeavors to appreciate coffee a little bit more, I've been weaning back on the cream, and I've enjoyed it quite a bit. So now I've been taking it black. The most bizarre place I've ever had a cup of coffee was definitely way out, about a 2 days walk into the jungle of Burma, Myanmar. Really pretty awful instant coffee that had been exposed to the elements, but it was pretty damn good at the time. The hardest thing I've ever done physically is probably kind of the obvious answer, which is just life in Ranger Battalion, everything from RASP to Ranger School and the training cycles and deployments and all that. I would say mentally making that transition out of the military and coming into regular life, and I didn't feel lost. I felt like I had a lot of really specific goals, but things don't always align the way that you want them to, and that can be mentally challenging. And I would say that was a pretty challenging time for me, as well as starting to discover a lot of things that are kind of buried under the surface. That was another pretty mentally challenging time for me, and that's one of the reasons why I really dove into writing, was because it helped me articulate and work through those things. The most misunderstood thing about the work that I do is that social media is like an afterthought, that it's something that it's a simple process to just create a piece of media or content and then to just throw it up there, and then it's kind of the start and end of it. It's definitely a huge concerted effort. I've worked in a lot of forms of media, like journalism, television, and social media is definitely the most work intensive, from, coming up with an idea for some piece of media that you're going to throw out there, all the way to the end of seeing it across the finish line, putting it in front of people, letting them enjoy it, and depending on what type of content you're putting out there. Writing or creating in some way, shape, or form. I love to write fiction, novels, novellas. I love to write poetry. I just love creating stories, and I really, really am passionate about diving into all of those kind of unseen things that bubble under the surface of the human experience, and figuring out what they are and figuring out how to articulate them, and just unpacking all the things that life has to offer, through writing in particular. I define success by the positive impact that I have on people. And, you can measure that in a bunch of different ways. How many people run up to you and say, "Oh, I loved this thing that you did," or, how much money you made, or how many impressions or shares or whatever have been garnered from a piece of media, or something that I wrote, something like that. But as long as I feel like I've had a positive impact, that I really feel that in my bones, that's what I want. I want to have a positive impact on the world around me, starting with the smallest circles, my family and really close friends, and then expanding to the tight-knit community that I'm really lucky to be a part of, the veteran community, and like my friends in that community, and then expanding beyond that circle to just, the American community, the international, crowd that I'm also lucky to be a part of. I want to feel like I have a definitively positive impact on those people's lives. And if I can do that, then I consider myself successful. Definitely a mountain view, because mountains typically have trees and beaches make me sunburned. If I could have any superpower, it would definitely be the ability to slow or stop time. One thing that I never have enough of is time in a day, and I would love to be able to sit down and do something at the very end of the day and spend like 4 hours on it, whether it's, finally getting in like a workout that I feel like I needed to get, or being able to sit down and write and get in that headspace finally, and oh man, it's like 1 a.m. and I've got to work in like, a few hours. I'd love to be able to just slow down time. Also, if you get in a gunfight, it'd be really cool because it'd feel like you're in the Matrix or something like that. A lot of people probably don't know about me is that I really, really love to run a lot. I like running for long distances, long periods of time, and I listen to very slow soundtrack music when I do it. I listen to like the Leftovers soundtrack, the soundtrack to The Fountain, pretty much. I'm not necessarily listening to really epic action soundtracks, but less Mad Max and more Schindler's List when I'm running for somewhere between 3 to 10 miles at a time. Really gets me in this headspace that I love to be in, which is where I can kind of lose myself in these really emotionally charged musical pieces, and it gets me in the frame of mind that I want to be in when I write, and it really spurs a lot of creativity, whether I'm specifically thinking about a story that I'm working on, or I'm really just getting myself in that sort of emotional state where I'm it's kind of a form of vulnerability, I guess, but I like doing that through specifically physical hardship. I would say in an apocalypse, I'd be at around a 7 on a survival scale. I would know how to survive, and I would be good at working with other people to survive. But like, I'm a sucker for, people in need and stuff like that, so I would wind up getting myself killed, like, running around trying to help somebody out who turned out to like, just want what I have and, shoot me in the face or something. Also, it depends on what kind of apocalypse, because if it's like, what's that movie? It's like a 1,000 Days of Night or something. Like if it was nighttime all the time, I'd be super good. But if it was like Mad Max, it's like daytime all the time, I'd get like skin cancer and die.